The US government has officially hit a wall. Just after midnight last night, a shutdown took effect after lawmakers failed to reach a deal on funding for the new fiscal year. What does that really mean? For federal workers, for services, and for the US economy as a whole, here's what you need to know. The US government officially entered a shutdown following a bitter stalemate in the Congress. Lawmakers were basically unable to pass either the 12 appropriations bills necessary to fund federal operations or a short-term continuing resolution to maintain current funding while the negotiations continued. The House Speaker, Mike Johnson, placed the blame on the Democrats, saying that they were holding out to extend Affordable Care Act tax credits that basically help millions of Americans pay for health insurance. Democrats, led by the House Minority Leader, Hakeem Jeffries, countered that, saying that Republicans were refusing to protect affordable coverage. The Congressional Budget Office estimating that around 750,000 federal employees will be furloughed. 750,000. In the initial days, at a daily payroll cost of roughly $400 million. This shutdown marks the first in nearly 7 years and threatens to disrupt a wide range of federal services, from healthcare administration to regulatory enforcement. As Americans brace for the effects of a political deadlock on Capitol Hill, the last shutdown, again during Trump's first term from December 2018 to January 2019, lasted 35 days and cost roughly $3 billion in lost economic activity. Many federal workers during that period struggled to afford childcare or commuting costs. Agencies have been slow to release contingency plans, but some have warned of potential impact. Historically, most shutdowns lasted only a few days, but federal workers face unpaid leave and financial strain. The government shutdown directly affects federal employees, dividing them into furloughed and accepted categories. Furloughed workers considered non-essential are sent home without pay, while essential personnel, including law enforcement, air traffic controllers, and active duty military, continue working but also go unpaid. Although the Congress has guaranteed retroactive pay for furloughed employees, once operations resume, families living paycheck to paycheck may face immediate financial strain, struggling with mortgage, utility, grocery payments. Service members similarly receive back pay after the funding is restored. The longer the shutdown persists, the greater the financial pressure on both the furloughed and accepted employees, which basically tells you that the personal impact of the political deadlock is massive on everyday Americans. According to the Associated Press, Director of Congressional Budget Office has said that a short shutdown does not have a huge impact on the economy, especially since federal workers by law are paid retroactively. But if a shutdown continues, then that can give rise to uncertainties about what is the role of the government in our society and what the financial impact is on all the programs that the government funds. The impact may not be immediate, but over time, there is a negative impact of a shutdown on the economy. Also, the markets have not reacted strongly to the past shutdowns. In fact, at the close of the 3 prolonged shutdowns since the early 1990s, equity markets finished flat or even up. After initially dipping, a government-wide shutdown would directly reduce growth by around 0.15% points for each week it lasted, or about 0.2% points per week. Once private sector effects were included, growth would rise by the same cumulative amount in the quarter following the reopening. So while the essential services continue and the markets may hold steady for now, the real cost of this shutdown will be felt by the federal workers, families, and everyday Americans trying to navigate that uncertainty. Lawmakers are back in session today, and all eyes will be on Capitol Hill to see if they can actually break the deadlock or if the government will remain at a standstill, with the economy and millions of lives caught in the balance. Will US President Donald Trump's Gaza peace plan work? Before we get into what's happening and the many layers to that question, here's a quick check on where things actually stand right now. The Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has already accepted that proposal, and the American president has extended his deadline for Hamas to respond from a 72-hour ultimatum to 4 days, warning Hamas that if they refuse, the group will face severe consequences, with Hamas leaders saying the plan is under review. The decision now rests with their leader, widely known among Palestinians as the Phantom. Al-Haddad became Hamas's top military commander in Gaza after the deaths of Mohammad Sinwar and Yahya Sinwar. In fact, the Israeli intelligence accuses Al-Haddad of being one of the masterminds behind the October 7 attack. Israel claims to have attempted to eliminate him on at least 3 occasions, identifying him as the country's most wanted man. Israeli intelligence believes that he is directing operations from northern Gaza, currently the new focus of Israel's offensive in the enclave. In fact, while Hamas deliberates, Palestinian Islamic Jihad has already rejected the plan. The group denounced the proposal as a framework that only extends Israeli aggression, as they call it. And at the same time, Qatar, Egypt and Turkey, 3 countries with the strongest channels to Hamas in a way, are reportedly urging the group to respond positively to Trump's Gaza peace plan. In fact, senior officials from these countries have held at least 2 rounds of talks with Hamas leaders in Doha over the last 48 hours. On the same evening as Trump unveiling the Gaza peace plan, the Qatari Prime Minister and Egypt's intelligence chief had presented it to Hamas in Doha, and they reportedly encouraged Hamas to accept the deal. Al-Thani reportedly told Hamas leaders that this was the best outcome available and unlikely to improve, adding that in his view, Trump was committed to ending the war. The following day, Al-Thani and Russia returned to meet Hamas again, but this time they were joined by Turkey's intelligence director. And ahead of the meeting, Al-Thani told Al Jazeera that he hoped all sides would approach the plan constructively. But he also emphasized that Hamas must coordinate its response with other Palestinian factions in Gaza. Qatar's leader also voiced concerns over the deal. While Al-Thani welcomed the peace plan, he has sought more clarity on issues like post-war governance and the long-term structure for Gaza, and called the proposal an early draft that requires more work. While Hamas studies the proposal, the conflict continues on the ground. Palestinian officials reporting that Israeli airstrikes struck the city of Deir al-Balah in central Gaza, killing at least 5 people and injuring 12. In fact, Israeli strikes also allegedly struck a school in Gaza City's suburb, killing at least 7 people, according to the local health authorities. The visuals on your screen further showing Palestinians fleeing southward as Israel ramps up that offensive in Gaza. In fact, a video released by the Israeli army showing IDF troops conducting ground operations in Gaza City. The Israeli military has said it is closing the last remaining route for the residents of southern Gaza to access the north, as it increases its offensive on the enclave's largest urban area. Israel's defense minister earlier today said the military is tightening its encirclement of Gaza City, further issuing a final warning for the residents of the city to flee further south. Amid all of this, the spotlight remaining on Hamas's response, with regional mediators pressing for agreement. The question still is whether Trump's plan will finally open a path towards peace, or whether the war will further intensify. Regardless, Hamas's ultimatum time is closing. China's Gen Z finding comfort in places you might not expect. Soft toys and artificial intelligence, with careers harder to secure, studies more competitive than ever, the economy dragging. Millions of young Chinese relying on soft toys and AI to manage loneliness, stress, anxiety. According to a report by the social media platform Soul App and the Shanghai Youth Research Center, more than 9 out of 10 people born after 1995 in China now see emotional value as a necessity in their spending habits. Instead of just shopping for material goods, they are in fact looking for something deeper. Comfort, companionship, and just a sense of belonging. Plush toys, particularly the Labubu line, exploded in popularity this year, as you would be aware. Posts about the brand on social media multiplied more than 30-fold in China, while searches jumped 26 times as compared to last year. At the same time, posts around AI partners surged by almost 2,000 times, and searches skyrocketed over 200,000 times. But it does not just stop with toys and chatbots, of course. Many Gen Z consumers are now paying for companions to join them in activities like hiking, gaming, or even visiting Disneyland reportedly, while others are allegedly investing in virtual pets or digital relationships. The report highlighting that about 1/3 shop for emotional value when they are happy. Nearly half do so when they feel stressed, pressured, or alone. For 47% of the young people, emotional consumption eases anxiety, while another third believing it motivates them to keep going. On an average, each consumer spends around $133 a month to satisfy these emotional needs, with nearly 1 in 5 willing to spend over 2,000 yuan. Experts saying the trend reflects growing uncertainty among the Chinese youth in recent years. Due to a slowing economy, property values have fallen, jobs scarce, while according to China's Bureau of Statistics last month, China's unemployment rate among those between the ages of 16 and 24 stood at nearly 19%. Experts saying that amid all of this, young people are seeking validation, stability, personal expression through what they buy. And for China's Gen Z, plush toys and AI friends is not a small matter. They appear to be lifelines in rather uncertain times. Are you someone who believes in talking to the dead? For some, it might be a bizarre question. For others, it makes perfect sense. And that includes the president of Poland. You know what he has said? He reportedly has said he has been talking practically every day to the ghost of a former de facto leader of the Second Polish Republic. What else has the leader said? He reportedly claims the two have discussed a range of issues, including the situation amid the Russia-Ukraine war. Remember, Poland, Romania, and Denmark have all recently been subject to drone incursions during the last month, which have forced the closure of airports. Let's just tell you more about what the Polish president has said. The leader he claims to be talking to was known for his anti-Russian and anti-Soviet views and played a major role in shaping the country's foreign policy. He devoted himself to protecting Poland against the Russian Red Army, which was trying to fight its way into Germany in order to consolidate the revolution there. Just a snippet of the kind of influence the leader has had there. Earlier, Poland shot down suspected Russian drones in its airspace with the backing of aircraft from its NATO allies, remember. The first time a member of the Western military alliance is known to have fired shots during Russia's war in Ukraine. In fact, the Polish Prime Minister had told the parliament it was the closest we have been to open conflict since World War II, quote unquote. Though he also said he had no reason to believe that they are on the brink of war. Here's what else happened immediately. Moscow denied responsibility for the incident, with a senior diplomat in Poland saying that the drones had come from the direction of Ukraine. In fact, Russia's defense ministry had said its drones had carried out a major attack on military facilities in western Ukraine, but it had not planned to hit any targets in Poland. Now, what the Polish president has now said is significant, given the current situation and where things stand in the Russia-Ukraine war. But there's also a significant aspect of curiosity attached, given that he is claiming to talk to a leader who has passed away, saying that they discuss history and politics.